Good morning, everybody. It's Saturday morning. Sort of taking it easy today. Really worked hard. Had a long week of work. I was at the plant in Georgetown and had to go. There's over 50 acres under roof, and I was all over that plant on Wednesday and Thursday, working in different areas. Then yesterday I had to unload literally over a ton of dirt to fill my wife's garden bed. So today I'm sort of taking it easy, just going to model on things. And tomorrow I may get out in the garden railroad, and if I do that, I'll shoot some video on that. I thought I'd take this morning and answer a few of the questions and address some of the comments that have come up in the last few videos. So if I mispronounce your name, let me know, please. So the first one, some of these, they're not in order. And I don't know how to say this username, but it's Mrodtoo. I thought at first it was Mr. To Do, but it doesn't work right. His comment was on the last video was that I could have use two cameras and shoot multiple angles and have a split screen. And Donald Schroyer also commented that it would benefit to having a side view. And I definitely agree with adding a side view. Probably never going to use two cameras and have a split screen. I do all this on my phone. If I ever get to the point where I have to put it on the computer and edit it and do all this stuff, you'll just quit seeing videos from me, to be honest with you. I'm just not interested in doing that. I am interested in making them as good as I can with the technology I use. So, but I do definitely agree with adding a side shot. And so like I could shoot a end shot and then back the train up and shoot a side shot and splice those together really easily. But to take two different cameras and to splice them together, that would require a computer and some software, and probably never going to see that from me. Roger that asked me if I was going to add sound to the Western Maryland Jeep. And yes, I do plan on doing that. Matter of fact, after this, I'm going to show you the locomotives that I currently own and talk about the plans for those. Several people, Ian Isaacs, Roy Altham, sorry Roy if I mispronounced your last name, and Long Shadows Model Trees, who actually provided the trees on the layout, really nice, talked about the bridge is tiny that I had, and said that I really needed to make a bigger bridge. And you'll see, I'm going to show you the bridge I'm going to use. I sort of went maybe the other opposite direction. Maurice Grimes, who constantly comments and asks questions and has some really good ideas, asked me where I got the window shades from. So you haven't seen them yet, but I'm going to use them on the yard office. So this is them. They're gold metal models. They're open, and they just come in several different sizes. Of course, I'm going to put them on the inside of the building, and you're just going to, if they overlap the window, they overlap the window. You're not going to see them. Unfortunately, they're all open. I wish some of them were closed, but maybe you just couldn't see it in that scale. So I've spray painted them white. They're metal etched, and they came gold color, so I've spray painted them an off-white sort of. But that's what I'm going to use. Gold Metal Models has a lot of really good products as far as metal etched problems. They've got the safety railings and guardrails. They've got the cage that I use on wherever. So they really have some good products, and I've used a lot of it. I've used them for the chain link fence. I love their chain link fence. So Richard Green asked about combining the bridges, because I had my little bridge, which I'll show you. Remember, it's a ballasted deck. Asked if I could just combine this with another bridge. I've never seen a ballasted deck bridge in combination with another bridge. I've seen open deck girder bridges combined with other. That's very, very, very common. But since this is ballasted, I don't know how you would hold the ballast in if all of a sudden you went to an open deck girder bridge. So maybe there's a prototype for it, but I'm not going to use this. Probably someone will prove me wrong, and that's fine. But I'll show you the bridge I'm going to use. And Larry Harper asked, why didn't I just scratch build the bridge? And so Larry, you're giving me a lot more credit than I deserve. Bridges, if you've ever looked at one, they have a million rivets on them. Yeah, and I know in N scale they may not show up, but I mean the bridges that I bought that I'm going to use. I mean this bridge here has all the rivet detail on it, and there's no way I could add rivet detail on something like that. But it's a good idea, and especially if you're going to, need it to fit a certain area. So I think building a building is much easier than building a bridge myself. So, if you mess up on that, you can add a shrub or something to hide a bad joint. So I haven't attempted scratch building a bridge yet. Maybe I will someday, but I don't really feel like my skills are good enough to build one in N scale. So those are some of the questions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to take the phone off the tripod, and I'm going to show you the progress on the yard office, talk about how that's coming along, and I'm going to show you the bridge and the abutments that I've decided on anyhow. Talk about that. I haven't started on it yet because I'm working on the yard office. I'm afraid I'm getting too many balls in the air at one time, and so sometimes I feel like I need to let's just get this done before I start another project. And then I'm going to show you the locomotives I have. In one of Roy Smith's videos, he always asks a question of the week for his dispatch on Tuesday nights. If you don't subscribe to Roy Smith, you probably should. It's N scale. He has a fabulous layout and great scenery, desert scenery. It's completely opposite of mine, but really entertaining videos. So anyhow, I asked a question of the week at dispatch, and one of them is what if you could give a newcomer some advice, what would you give them? And my advice, which I did not heed myself, was to not buy too many locomotives at the beginning. So you'll see, I'm going to show you what I have and what my plans are for them. So let's go ahead and talk about that, and I'm going to take the camera off the tripod. Here's the yard office where I'm at so far. So I am scratch building everything on this except for the roof and one wall, and I had to cut a window out of that wall. But this was the exact footprint of what I needed, so I didn't see any reason not to use what I had. So I guess technically you'd call it a kit bash more than a scratch build. So what I'm doing is I will, at the end of this video, if it's not too long, I'll take a picture of this side and then I'll put a picture of the real yard office so you can compare them, and I'll do the three sides that I have almost done. This is the one end. Oh. So on this end, they actually had a window that they filled in with plywood, put an air conditioner at the top half, and they've got a little window at the bottom of it, a little sliding window. And then the back side, they've got, when I don't have that door, I'm just working my way around the building. So I'm using HO scale 1x2s. This is the smallest strip styrene I can buy. So I'm building the windows out of HO scale 1x2s. So everything you see there is an individual piece. The door is just a piece of styrene with the window cut out of it. So I'm using primarily super glue for this because it grabs quicker. I've got this it's the Gorilla Glue. I like their brand of super glue. It's a gel, so it doesn't grab super fast. It allows me some time to move it around. The reason why I'm showing the kit in the back is because I can't use anything out of that kit, but it came with the downspouts. So I'm definitely using the downspouts out of that kit. So I will definitely make use of that. But the doors were the wrong size, the windows were the wrong size, so I couldn't really use anything out of the kit besides that. Maybe someday down the road I'll be able to use it for something, but it was only like $10, so don't feel like I wasted a lot of money. So let's move over to the bridge and abutments. Like I said, I might have gone too far the other way, but this is a really nice bridge. It's a little bit over 100 feet long, I think.
it's 14 3/32 inches long. The other one that I thought was too small was 3 inches. I think it'll make a nice dramatic statement. I would prefer to have something maybe around 10 inches. But the B&O had bridges like this over the Scioto River in Chillicothe. So it's, and I'm not saying it's a Arch Pratt truss bridge. I'm not a bridge expert by any means, but I'm talking about where the train is going through a structure, not just over a structure. So, I'd have to get pictures of that bridge and actually, do some research to find out what type it was. But anyhow, this is what I'm going to use, and I've got this bridge abutment 2-pack. So I'm going to build the bridge. This is a kit. This isn't like you just pull it out of the box. I could have got a Kato bridge, which basically is already all put together, and it might have been actually a little bit easier to do. But this is a fairly complex kit, so I'm going to build it and paint it, and then I can assemble the abutments, and then I can figure out how much I need to cut out, and I'll start cutting out the foam. So like I said, I've gone a little bit in the other direction, but I think it's going to be a really neat scenic highlight on the layout when I get it done. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about my locomotives. Yeah, I've got a switching layout. I've got 12 locomotives, and I already sold 2 so that I wasn't happy with or didn't use. So please don't make that mistake, because N-scale locomotives aren't cheap. But the only one that's fairly cheap was that Bachmann S4, which I got for like $50 from Train World or something. I'm going to talk about each locomotive, what my plans are for them in the future, and why I have them and why I'm going to get rid of them maybe. So let's just go down the line. So you're familiar with this engine. This is the one it's my favorite engine. It's Atlas GP7 with sound. Had a little bit of problems with it lately. Reason why I didn't use it in the last video, actually I shot that video 3 times. It stalled in the same place all 3 times. The sound doesn't change, but it's like surging. It's almost like it has maybe a cracked gear or something. And there's sometimes I'll start the layout up and it won't move. I'll rev it up and the engine will rev up, the sound will rev up, but the locomotive won't move. And I'll unplug the controller and plug it back in, and eventually it will move. And after that it runs fine, except for the surging. So it's not noticeable by the sound, but it's noticeable to me when I'm running. But it runs super smooth, slow. It'll start moving at speed step 1. So, but it's still my favorite locomotive despite that. But after filming 3 times the other day, I just said, okay, I'm taking it off. It kept stalling on the Union Spring turnout, and I kept cleaning the track and figuring out, but Western Maryland GP40 didn't stall on that turnout. It did stall 1 time, but it wasn't on that turnout. All right, that's enough about that. Okay, this is my Atlas SD35. This one has sound too. Benjamin Horn fixed it. It had a broken wire, which is why it kept stalling the last time I used it. I haven't run it other than to test it since I got it back. Really not very prototypical to be a switching locomotive in Chillicothe. They did have these for, they used them like on the ore docks in Toledo and stuff like that. Because the SD35 doesn't have a super high horsepower, but it's got a lot of tractive force because it has the 3-axle trucks. Still, I really like it. Sounds fantastic. So the next 3 I'm definitely adding sound to. I bought the 2 chassis off of eBay. We've got a GP38-2 and a GP40, and then there's a Western Maryland GP40, which I used the other day. I'm going to add sound to these 3 for sure. Really like them. They just fit my layout perfectly. I have a Kato, NW2, runs like a Swiss watch, doesn't have sound. I guess it is possible to add sound to them, but man, there's not a lot of room in there. And so I don't know if I'll ever add sound to that or not, but I sure would like to, because honestly, besides the GP7, this is my favorite locomotive. And if this had sound, it would probably be my favorite locomotive because I really like switching locomotives. I've always liked them. Now we have a B&O GP35. I got this off eBay, and Benjamin Horn. It was a DC only, and actually the DT&I is the same both GP35s I got off eBay, and Benjamin Horn milled the frame and converted them to DCC. Love this B&O locomotive. Both of these run really well because they're heavy locomotives and they run well. So I don't know if it'd be possible to add sound to this. It looks like I gotta fix the handrail here. Somehow it got, but I'll look at that later. Oh, it got broke. Okay, I need to put some super glue on it. But if I could add sound to these, I definitely would. I have an Atlas MP15. You notice it says CCET. There's a Cincinnati Eastern Terminal Railway. It's on part of the old N&W up in southern Ohio. N&W, what they call Peavine. And they bought this MP15. It used to be a Norfolk Southern engine, and then it became what the Portsmouth, gosh, I can't remember, the Portsmouth Beltline or something like that, which I think was owned by Norfolk Southern and CSX. And anyhow, CCET got it. When they first got it, they hand lettered the 2414. That is the number for it, but they just hand lettered it. So the CCET is actually dry transfers, and that was like I couldn't really duplicate how they hand lettered it, but I found some font and made that decal and put it on there. Now since then, they have blacked out that CCET in the 2414, and they've just got real small up here. I think 2414 or something like that. But it looks a lot better now. So it's, I don't know why they ever let somebody loose at it with a can of spray paint. It's a good running engine. I like it. Don't really know what I'll ever use it for, though. When I first built my Chillicothe layout, I was planning on having a working N&W interchange. And this was a Western Maryland Bachmann S4. When I first got it, it ran fantastic. But I wanted it to be N&W, so I repainted it N&W, and it just doesn't run as well as it used to. So I don't know if I got some paint in somewhere. I've cleaned the trucks and the wheels and everything, maybe the contacts, but anyhow, I don't have a working N&W interchange, so I don't run it anyhow. So I may sell it sometime, but if I do, I want to try to make sure that whoever buys it knows that it doesn't run very well, or get it running well. Okay. This one really doesn't fit. Scale Trains had a big sale, and I thought, well, I'll help them out during COVID because I was still working. I was lucky enough; I never lost my job, and they had this half-price sale. So I bought this and a Canadian National one. So I thought, well, maybe someday I'll go modern, or I'll move up into the 2000s or something. So I got them, and I weathered them up a little bit, just dusty. All it is dust. A guy had a YouTube video how to make your locomotives dusty, and so I did that. Runs fantastic, doesn't have sound. It is DCC, but it does not have sound. But I have nowhere to run it. All I've done is run it back and forth on layout, and so I'm probably going to sell it. And I actually had it on like N-Scale Marketplace or something, and I'm just trying to get my money back out of it. I'm not trying to make any money. I mean, I'll probably mark it down again. As far as I know, it's still listed on there because it's never sold, but I was only asking something like, I don't know, $70 or $80. I can't remember what it was. So if you're interested in it, shoot me a message on in the comments or something, and I'll make you a good deal on it. The last one was sort of an impulse buy. Somebody did a fabulous job on this. I guess it's an Atlas GP7. R.J. Corman started here in Central Kentucky. Still has a large presence. Their headquarters are in Nicholasville, Kentucky. Unfortunately, the founder of the company, R.J. Corman, passed away of cancer several years ago, but the company is still going strong. They're acquiring short lines. They just got a couple more up in Pennsylvania, I think. It's turned into a sort of a regional railroad. But somebody did a great job on this. And when I saw it on eBay, I probably paid too much for it, but it's if I ever would model I could say, well, Chillicothe, the B&O abandoned it, and then R.J. Corman took it over. And that's actually a feasible thing. So they have lines in Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, South Carolina, who knows where else. But they put ditch lights on it. The ditch lights work. Like if you act like, it doesn't have sound, but if you act like you're blowing the horn, the ditch lights flash alternately. So it's a really nice locomotive. Runs fantastic because that's a cast metal shell, I guess. So it has a lot of weight. Runs great. Okay, so that's my locomotive roster. Again, there's no reason for me to have that many locomotives. Most of them just sit in the box. But I do want to just be able to rotate them out, so you're not seeing the same locomotives all the time. You tend to see the GP7 because I love sound. If it wasn't for sound, I would have just made a DC layout because I don't think a switching layout really benefits from DCC that much. If you're only going to run one engine at a time, why do you need DCC? I'm never going to put these in a consist. Well, I say never, but I don't see any reason to ever put them into a consist and run two at once, unless it's just to shoot a video and run them, 12 feet or something. So my advice is to not spend too much money on locomotives. And I haven't bought one in a while. The last one I bought was the GP35 DT&I, and that had a specific purpose. That was for my Oak Hill layout. All right, this is getting kind of long, 10 minutes, along with the other one. It's going to be a fairly long video, about 20 minutes. So I really appreciate the comments and questions, and I'll try to keep answering them whenever I can. I'll probably get out in the garden tomorrow if it's nice and level up the track after the winter and run some trains and shoot a video there. So everybody have a good weekend and stay safe.